Hi everybody, welcome to Learn Live Streaming Live. My name's John Lacey. Today on the show, and we are going out live a little bit earlier than usual because we're looking at an extremely hot day in my part of the world here in Australia, top of 42 degrees Celsius. So I wanted to sort of come on a bit earlier than usual, do the stream, turn the lights off, turn on the noisy aircon and just chill out for the rest of the day. So our agenda for today is a little bit different to what's been happening the last couple of weeks. We might do a little bit of DaVinci Resolve editing at the second half of this stream, but I do also want to take some time to think about what kind of goals I have for 2026 and also some of the topics that I want to cover and that perhaps you want me to cover. So we are going live to all the various places, so let me know in the chat where you're watching from, but let's get stuck in. I've got a Google Doc here. It's not the most exciting thing in the world, but I think it's really good opportunity to sort of just, take a step back and think about what my plans are for this year and what sort of things we might want to cover. So first of all, I'm going to think about my goals a little bit. So I want to create more shorts to promote the live stream recordings. And again, if you've seen any of the streams I've done over the last couple of weeks, you probably would have seen some of this happening already. And I think it's been working pretty well. I think now that I've got a system in place in DaVinci, that's going to work out really, really well. And it is a manual process, and if you've seen those videos, you've seen what that looks like. But I think it is a good process. I think it makes compelling shorts for people to watch. Okay, I also want to create more standalone videos or videos on demand, VODs, which I feel like, as much as I love live streaming, as much as I love the community interaction, the live chat, I feel like I have dropped the ball a little bit on these standalone videos because I think that's the thing that YouTube is really looking for. Not just the live streams, but also the standard videos. I want to continue to do my live stream shows regularly. And again, this is sort of the last week I'll be going live most days. Next week, I'll probably go back to 1 or 2 days a week at most. And I also want to revisit the audio podcasts. I have a couple of audio podcasts. I love listening to audio podcasts, and in some ways that's why I wanted to create my own, because I wanted to be part of that environment, but I haven't always enjoyed it. And I think I do need to sort of take a step back and just see, whether I want to keep doing that, what that might look like. Is it an opportunity to repurpose some content, or do I need to sort of completely change my approach entirely? And I guess in terms of YouTube channel goals, I really do want to reach the 900 subscribers this month. I keep talking about it. In fact, let me just check on another screen as to what we're sitting on at the moment. So 879 subscribers. So that would be, 21 still to go. I don't know how achievable this is, but I'm going to start actually making this ask a little bit more explicit. So, if you are watching, don't forget to like and subscribe. I must admit that overlay does look a little weird on white backgrounds, but it is what it is. I could probably change this to be a dark mode if I wanted to, but let's not dwell on that right now. And really, I guess 1,000 subscribers for the year as a whole. There are so many great YouTube features that get unlocked when you have 1,000 subscribers. I don't necessarily care about the YouTube Partner Program. I've done that in the past. I don't think it would be particularly useful for me in 2026, but there are some great features that just get unlocked when you reach that milestone, and I'd love to reach that milestone. So let's think about some of the things that we might want to think about in terms of topics. I'm going to do some brainstorming. Again, if there are specific things that you want me to cover or you want to hear about or ask about, let me know in the chat what they might be. But these are essentially the general topics that I'm thinking would be worthwhile to cover. Live streaming generally. This is the Learn Live Streaming channel after all. Podcasting and audio, OBS Studio, DaVinci Resolve, YouTube, and working out loud. And really, working out loud is sort of behind the scenes, process-driven stuff. And, the DaVinci Resolve editing videos have been an example of that. So anytime I want to actually do some work for my projects and maybe stream the process in real time. So I'm thinking things like DaVinci Resolve editing, podcast creation, recording / editing, website creation. I think I love the idea of working out loud. I think this is potentially a really good thing that I do need to do more in 2026. I have really enjoyed just coming on live and doing the DaVinci Resolve editing, so I want to do more of that in the new year. Oh, this year, in fact. Live streaming generally. So I think, there are the technical aspects, and there are, for want of a better term, we'll say the soft skills. So things like planning a show, so software, hardware, specific tools, live stream destinations. But planning a show, using a teleprompter. This is one of my most controversial takes, is that I think teleprompters can be really, really useful. I know a lot of people don't like the idea of them. They don't like reading out loud. They're not particularly good at reading out loud. But if you don't practice reading out loud, you will not get better. All right, so we've got that as well. Guesting, again, not something that I do a lot of, in part because I'm in Australia and logistically that's always tricky. A lot of the shows I would love to be on seem to happen at 2 a.m. my time, so that doesn't really work. We'll think about it some more, but audio, podcasting and audio. So specific tools, Hindenburg Pro 2, which is something I use, Audacity, which is a free option, VST audio plugins, yeah, that sort of thing. OBS Studio. So again, OBS Studio plugins are a big one. And I don't use a whole, well, I could say that. I probably use more plugins than I remember. But there are many, many of those, and they do extend the basic functionality of OBS Studio, so that can be really, really useful. What else can we do? Sort of scenes and sources. Again, I've kind of already done some of these things. Working with the virtual camera, but I don't think it's a bad idea to revisit these, because as someone who spends a little bit of time in OBS Studio related Facebook groups, there are basic concepts that people don't really understand, and I think it is worthwhile to sort of keep revisiting those. All right. And in fact, like I'm just going to brainstorm here. These things may not necessarily be an entire show. Even just tips and tricks is a good one as well. So additional tools like Video Ninja and Social Stream Ninja Chat. Recording in OBS. Chapter markers in OBS. All kinds of things that we could potentially revisit there. DaVinci Resolve, so the cut page, the edit page, the Fairlight page, the deliver page. Like, we could literally just create content about the different sections in the software. Cutting a horizontal, we'll say converting a horizontal video to vertical. DaVinci Resolve Studio, which is the paid version, features, AI tools, magic mask, etc. We could do some stuff on that. YouTube is, I've been on YouTube for a million years, not necessarily on this particular channel, but in earlier reincarnations. And I guess the thing that jumps out at me is there is a real appetite for basic understandings of YouTube features. And Sam Proof and I think, did a live stream about optimizing your YouTube channel or whatever. And I made a short because somebody had a question about adding other people's videos to a playlist. And that kind of set the world on fire. And I kind of thought that was really obvious. But evidently people don't know what they don't know. So let's think about that. YouTube, working on your channel, playlists, including the podcast playlist, which is its own sort of separate little thing. Shorts, live streaming. What else could we have here? Videos on demand, VODs. I'm sure there are just YouTube features generally probably would be a good thing to have a look at. I guess going back to here, live streaming, I really have my workflow in OBS settled pretty well, but I think it would be worthwhile to look at some other tools as well. So Restream and Restream Studio, something I haven't covered in a little while. I still actually use Restream to send a signal from OBS to all my destinations, and that's really just to compensate for my Australian internet, which is not always crash hot. YouTube, LinkedIn, although I should probably put that beside it because they have a lot of feelings about that sort of thing. Anyway, we have Twitch, we have all kinds of things. So, and Patreon. Patreon is something that I've been dabbling with a little bit in the new year. It's really interesting, and I kind of feel like it probably warrants an entire show on its own. So we might look at that. I guess, you know, some of the other things, and again, some of these will actually be in multiple categories potentially. So creating live streaming assets. So it could be video, it could be animated GIFs, could be just static images, etc. Overlays. And that is something I need to do because I kind of want to make this stream a little bit more dynamic. I want to have some things pop up at different times. Not just the chat, but potentially some other features as well. So, you know, podcasting platforms. I might even do a bit of a run through Captivate FM. And Patreon as well. Patreon does have some audio podcasting functionality built into it. It's really quite interesting in that regard. So we have some options here. Again, I will continue to populate this and think about how I want to schedule these things. And I guess even this is sort of, you know, part of the planning process. So topics, running sheets, thumbnails, actually scheduling things out. So there's potentially a lot going on there. We've got a lot of things to work with. And again, you know, I probably only need 52 shows for a year. And admittedly, January is mostly over anyway. I mean, I say that. It's a third over. So it's probably a couple of weeks. It's probably more like 50. But that's okay. I can go off and think about this a little bit. I would really be interested in potentially having some guests on my shows in 2026. But again, the logistics of that can be a little bit tricky. And I guess the other thing too is just that, you know, I need to have an existing relationship with somebody to want to bring them onto my show. And I have been in a weird position previously where somebody commented on a few videos, offered to be a guest, and then like 5 minutes later got deeply offended that I didn't immediately say yes. So I want to set some expectations there. But these are some of the things that I think would be worthwhile covering. But again, I'm definitely open to your suggestions. So if you do have more, please let me know in the chat and the comments what you'd like to hear. I might just press this magical button just to remind you to like and subscribe. And we'll leave that document to one side and we will actually get stuck into some DaVinci Resolve editing. So let's do that now. we've got DaVinci Resolve Studio 20. I'm just going to open up my OBS Sources project. So I did start working on this one yesterday. I don't think I finished, so let's keep going with that. And I don't even remember. So this is about the VLC source. So again, I guess the context for this one is I took some clips out of this section of the live stream because again, that's the whole point of this project is that I'm converting moments from the live stream into shorts and hopefully redirecting people back to the live stream to learn more. This particular section kind of had two big ideas in it, and I've kind of made some edits to get rid of some of those as well. Okay, so somebody is asking if they can make some channel art. Yeah, maybe that's a conversation we can have a little bit later on. I'm not really sure even which platform you're asking me that from. Looks like Twitch. Okay. Well, we'll talk about that later. But again, let's just get stuck in. Actually, you know, before I do that, let's go back to this document really quickly because the other thing, and I guess maybe this comes under the live streaming assets, is that I really love Affinity by Canva, and I've used the Affinity apps as well. That is definitely something I want to cover more in 2026, and that sort of has the vector graphics, the pixels, raster images, if you will, and some desktop publishing. So that might be worth revisiting as well, but that's fine. All right, let's get back into this particular project. I'm just going to have a listen through to see where we got up to on this one yesterday. The VLC source is very similar in a lot of ways. You do need to install the VLC media player on your computer, and when you do that, you'll actually get an additional source. So this is the VLC video source. Okay, so I guess what we probably did was made these cuts. So just to give you a sense of what's actually happening here, I have three separate video tracks, if you will. I've got me sort of in a vertical format. I've got me in the horizontal stream with the screen capture, but I've also zoomed into the screen capture, and I will sort of use some elements from there. But first of all, when we first see the screen capture in its larger form, the thing that we actually want to see is kind of to the left of this. So I'm going to adjust the exposition a little bit. Let's go 200. Yep. So first of all, I kind of want to see where we are over here. Might make that a little bit more central. 300. So 300 and something. I think that'll work. Yep. Okay, cool. What I will do at this point too is I'm going to click on my keyframes because I'm going to have to change the positioning of this within this part of the clip. So I'm going to turn those on. I'm going to get position and zoom, both of them. And I may not need the zoom, but I kind of like knowing it's there if I do need it. This is the What I will do too is I'm going to open up my keyframes panel. And I'm going to go to that initial keyframe. I'm going to click on the keyframing. I'm going to select Control C to copy. And I'm actually going to paste this a little bit further in just to make sure it doesn't move between those 2 points. So this is the VLC video source. So I'm going to imagine it's here. We might need to adjust that as well. Okay, so basically, I just want to make sure it doesn't move between those 2 points. And then sort of a little bit after here, we actually do want it to move. So I'm going to turn on my keyframes again. I really probably don't need the zoom, but let's just imagine that we might need it. And really, I'm just going to move the exposition back a little bit so we can see this dialog box here. And I'm just going to eyeball that. I think that'll be fine. So let's just see what that looks like. Source. So this is the VLC video source. And the one thing that this gives you that the media source doesn't give... Okay, I think that's pretty good. We might potentially actually want to zoom out a little bit at this point. So do that, you'll actually get an additional source. So this is the VLC video source. Although the other thing I will do, and I think we should do this Yes, exactly. Tech Troublemaker says, more coffee, please. I must admit, I don't know if anyone actually saw my stream yesterday. I literally didn't know what day it was. In part because I'm on holidays from work and every day is just blurring into another one. But by the end of that stream, I could barely speak. It was very funny. But anyway, coffee is very, very important. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to... Because I think the other thing that I probably need to do is just make sure that this is maybe a little bit further up in the canvas. So again, let's just go back to our beginning points. Actually, I can't really move that too much. So 200 is about as far as I'm going to get. And again, I just want to make sure that point is the same in all of these so it doesn't sort of move up randomly between all of them, unless I do want it to move. And I can use this little arrow to go back to the previous one. Yep. Okay, again, I may actually need some more coffee at this point because I think I've just adjusted the wrong property. So the 200 is the Y coordinate. It's always good to know. And we'll go to the next one. And again, make that 200. And we'll make the next one 200 as well. There is a dot there. So it's 200.000. You can get even more granular. Like you can have 0.125 if you wanted to do that. So it's not quite 200,000. It is really 200 point something. And these are just sort of values that we have here. So it's a really good chance that I probably have stuffed up the X coordinates. So let's just have a quick playthrough and see if it still looks okay. This is the VLC video source. Okay, I don't think that's terrible. I think that works pretty well. But what we might do is we might zoom out just a fraction if we can. And again, I just want to find, just going to click into our keyframes. I'm going to go Control Plus just to zoom in a little bit more so it's more obvious where these keyframes are, because this is kind of the problem with keyframing, is that if you have two keyframes that are close to each other, it's often very hard to see where one ends and the next one begins. So I'm just going to copy that second series. And just before I hit that OK button, I'm going to paste that in again. And I'm going to go just a little bit further. And this is actually kind of the point at which I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm actually going to wait till I'm physically on one of these points. I'm going to turn my position on. And I'm going to put my zoom on. I don't think... Well, actually, in this case, I literally do need my zoom. So this is probably the exception to the rule. So what we're going to do... And it is literally just a fraction. So again, Roy, you can see that this is 0.92. And 1 is basically the full zoom. So we're sort of doing a fraction of that. And depending on where you actually put the cursor in here, like if I put it just beside the 9 and go down, you'll see that that 9 goes to 8, and then I can go back up again. If I want to go behind the 2, that'll adjust that value. So depending on how much of this you want actually in the screen, that can be a good way of putting that value in. We want... What do we want? We want the Y value. I'm really terrible at actually knowing the difference between the X and the Y, and I will learn one day, but today is probably not that day. And I just want to compensate by moving this down a little bit so you can see, so it can sort of cover the video that's underneath it. All right, so I've got my values. This is really good, but I also want this to kick in a little bit earlier. So I'm going to copy those keyframes. And I have a feeling... I'm going to put this here, but I'm also going to move those keyframes as well. So again, I'm just going to click into the timeline. I'm going to zoom out a little bit just see what this looks like. See media player on your computer, and when you do that, you'll actually get an additional source. So this is the VLC video source. And the one thing that this gives you that... And I actually... I have to think about that a little bit. But anyway... Gwendolyn, I appreciate the offer, but I don't think I'm interested. Thank you. Roy writes, one day I will get good at video editing. Right now I'm only good at removing video. That is my technique. Cut what probably isn't needed, though I hate to kill my darlings. And I think in some ways, you know, that's probably all you need to do. And that's been the theme of the streams that I'm doing for the last 2 weeks, is really, this is incredibly powerful software, but I'm only using like 5 features. I'm using them over and over again. And I guess this has been the process that I've taken a couple of different videos. I've resized the overlay to zoom into it. And this process, I've done it, I don't even know what video we're up to, probably the 12th or the 11th, 13th. But I've done this over and over again, and it's not massively difficult, and you may need to adjust things for your own video editing software if you're not using DaVinci, but conceptually, it's not that difficult. This is the VLC video source. And I kind of, I think I will move this back actually, because I kind of want to change how that looks. All right, I think that's fine. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to move the end keyframes. I'm going to move this a little bit further back. All right, I could tweak with this for the rest of the time. It's not really probably a great use of my time. What I will do though, I'm going to copy those keyframes. In the next section, I don't want the overlay to obscure me. I want to actually talk to the camera, and I've left it here, but I've just made it transparent with the opacity option there. Again, this is just a personal preference for me when it comes to a way of working, that I like to just keep the tracks there in case I change my mind. Admittedly, it's non-destructive, so like if I deleted this, I could still just pull this clip out and bring back what is missing. But you could delete it entirely, but for me, I just like to make it transparent. And then we go back here. I'm just gonna go to the beginning of this clip. I'm going to paste in my values just so that they're in the same section as the last time we saw this. Again, I could probably just do this because this clip is actually being cut. I could do this the same here anyway. So I can, and again, in the same way that we could do this for the image slideshow, I can add individual files, or I can add an entire folder or directory. And again, we've got the loop playlist option if we want to. And again, I'm just going to paste that in here as well. I probably could just select these clips and include that initial value, but I guess the thing to note is this clip, and again, if you really care that much about this, you can go and watch yesterday's live stream where it wasn't particularly coherent, but you can see the process. There are a number of cuts, which is literally just me killing my darlings, as it were, as Roy put it earlier. So we have taken some sections out, and again, in fact, what I'm going to do, let's just watch the whole thing through because I haven't done that yet. The VLC source is very similar in a lot of ways. You do need to install the VLC media player on your computer, and when you do that, you'll actually get an additional source. So this is the VLC video source. And the one thing that this gives you that the media source doesn't give you is the ability to create lists or of playlists, essentially, of different sources. So I can, and again, in the same way that we could do this for the image slideshow, I can add individual files, or I can add an entire folder or directory. And again, we've got the loop playlist. Okay, there we go. So again, the thing I'm kind of referring to is kind of off the screen. So we're going to have to decide to adjust that a little bit. So I can, and again, in the same way that we could do this for the image slideshow, I can add individual files, or I can add an entire folder or directory. The same way that we do for the slideshow, I can add individual. All right, I'm going to keyframe those as well. So we want to adjust, I think, the X position again. I'll find out momentarily if I'm right or wrong. No, there we go. That's what I want. Because what I actually want to show you is ever so slightly off the screen. So let's do that. So I can, and again, in the same, and again, I can decide where I want that to start. So I'll go back and I'll copy the original keyframes, and I will just wait a little bit later in the track. And again, all I'm doing is basically saying between these 2 points, don't change anything. So I can, and again, in the same way that we could do this for the image slideshow, I can add individual files, or I can add an entire folder or. Although in this case, I think I do want to make that come in a lot sooner. So I'm going to adjust all of these keyframes. I'm just going to drag them a little bit sooner. See what that looks like. It's essentially of different sources. So I can, and again, in the same way that we could do this for the image slideshow, I can add individual files, or I can add an entire folder or directory. And again, we've got the loop playlist option if we want to do that. Maybe we just want to play it once and move on. So we also have audio tracks. So again, if you've got multiple audio tracks in those videos, if you've got a video format that supports different audio tracks, you can certainly do that. Subtitles enable is interesting. I'm not really sure. You'd actually, again, you'd have to have a video that had those embedded, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. So if I click on that, you'll see that my video starts to play. But the wonderful thing about this is if you do have a lot of pre-recorded material, if you do know that you're going to have to stop your stream at some point and actually move on to other things, or you know, maybe you need a bathroom break, or you need to grab some coffee because you're streaming for 8 hours at a time, you can have some videos that are ready to go and you can play that, and then when you come back you can just switch to your normal scene of you talking or whatever you happen to be doing. Okay, so I think the screen capture part of that is looking pretty good. What I'm going to do, I'm going to jump into my media pool. I'm literally going to just copy and paste some things out of other shorts that I've created from this project. So I'm going to go into subclip 14. I'm going to click on the multi-text. I'm going to go back to my normal clip, my current clip. I'm going to go back to the beginning. I'm going to paste that in. All that is, by the way, is just some text on the screen. I will adjust the text, but it also has some transitions in here. So it sort of pushes in from the left and then it pushes up. So I probably will need to adjust the duration of that one as well, but we'll come back to that in a second. We'll go back to an earlier subclip. Let's actually go to the end of our clip. And let's actually make our waveform a little bit smaller. All I really want to do, I've got text and I've got a collection of backgrounds, images. It's really just a end screen for my short. The whole purpose of these shorts is really to see if I can encourage people to watch the whole live stream recording. Let's go somewhere towards the end of this clip and paste it in. And again, I know this is where I want to end the clip, so let's just drag that to the end. So now, once I get to the end of the clip, just switch to your normal scene of you talking or whatever you happen to be doing. And we have that there. Okay, awesome. We do need to change the text of this one because this doesn't relate to this project. So VLC media player in OBS Studio. I'm going to adjust the text size ever so slightly, and I'm actually going to go to the last digit here because I don't need a massive change, I don't think. I just want them to be roughly taking up the same space. I think that works. I do think we're going to make this one a bit bigger, like a little bit longer. The VLC source is very similar in a lot of ways. So I think from till about here, I want that to be on the screen for a little bit longer. The VLC source is very similar in a lot of ways. You do need to install the VLC media player on your computer, and when you do that, you're like, okay, I think that's fine. What we will do is let's go and generate some captions. So I'm going to go up to the timeline. I'm going to go AI tools, create subtitles from audio. Again, this is the DaVinci Resolve Studio feature. This is in the paid version. I don't think it's in the free version. I'm going to tell it that the language is English. I'm going to have double lines and I'm going to hit create. It's going to generate these, and this all happens on your local computer. So it's not feeding a large language model somewhere else. And I know sometimes I sound a little bit conspiratorial, but I don't really want my personal information out in the wild in that sense. You'll see that we've now got these captions on here. First of all, they don't look good. They're not in a great place. But if I click on one of these captions, you'll see that we've got the subtitles dialog box. We've got two sections here. The one on the left is caption, which is literally the text that's shown on the screen. And we have the track version. The track is where you might want to adjust the positioning or the fonts or the color, all of the things. But in this case, because I've made, 12 of these already, I actually saved a preset for this. So if I click on the three dots, go to OBS sources, say load preset, you'll see it makes the font a little bit smaller, moves it down in the frame. I'm actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to move this because it feels like there's just a little bit too much of a gap between me and the start of this clip. So I'm going to put I'm going to select all, and I'm going to put a breakpoint in here. And I just want to make sure I've selected the two video and the one audio. And I'm going to hit ripple delete, which I have a key on my speed editor for, and that will delete it and it'll move everything back. So the VLC source is, although I have a weird feeling I've cut off my opening transition, which is annoying, but let's just add that back in. I'll go to the effects panel, going to search for push. Push left is actually the default, so I probably won't need to make any changes once I do that. Okay, that's weird, and this actually was a problem I've had recently with another version of this. What I'm going to do, let's actually just get rid of the multi-text. I'm going to just jump back to my other project, and let's just grab it again. I don't know, I feel like there has been an update to DaVinci Resolve recently, and there does seem to be something slightly glitchy with that. Let's go back to our subclip, let's paste it in. Again, I will need to change the text and the fonts again, so VLC media source in OBS Studio, just adjust that. Yeah, that'll do. All right. The VLC source is very similar in a lot of ways. Actually, I might even make that a little bit longer. It is one of those things that I guess I've made some creative decisions about how I want this video to appear. And I know a lot of people would cut out every second of silence and just have it yelling at you. I'm a little bit more chill. And again, I kind of just want my audience to know that I'm a little bit more chill. So, if this bores you, then maybe my content isn't for you. But I see a lot of things on TikTok where there are like a million things happening all at once and people are talking 1,000 words per minute. And I don't love that. I think that's a little overwhelming. I like my content to breathe a little bit. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to go through these captions and I'm going to extend them just so they're visually on screen for as long as possible. So there are no gaps between these two things. Again, this is kind of a personal preference. I'm just going to keep going through. And the logic behind this is really, if you are reading along with the audio off, I just want to give you enough time that you can actually read all of this stuff. We just want to... Hi. About this, if you have a lot of recorded material, Actually, there's still a bit of a gap there.
If you might have to stream on to other things, or maybe a bathroom break, or you need to grab coffee.
And just in case it's not obvious, and you may have seen it in the video thumbnail for this one, but I do have the DaVinci Resolve Speed Editor, which is like a little keyboard for DaVinci Resolve. It has this jog wheel, which is so nice to work with. And it's difficult to explain how nice this is to work with. And I think if I didn't have this, editing would be a lot less fun. And I did purchase the Speed Editor, and the paid version of the software essentially came with it for free. I really love DaVinci. I don't think that's a secret at this point in time, but it works really, really well for me. And again, I'm just going to extend that last one to the ends. So the thing that I would do, I don't know if I'm going to do this in real time. I have to think about this for a second. What I really want to do is just watch this video and make sure these captions are right, because obviously they've been created by a computer, so it may not have always understood my accent. It may not always understand grammar. The VLC source is very similar in a lot of ways. You do need to install the VLC media player on your computer, and when you do that, you'll actually get an additional source. So this is the VLC video source. That is a good good translation, I think, of what I said. I'm just going to capitalize video because that's part of the name. And the one thing that this gives you that the media source doesn't give you is the ability to create lists of and I probably did err a little bit and say or, but I'm going to get rid of that as well. So create the ability. So I kind of err on the side of readability for the transcript. Again, somebody may be listening, maybe watching this video with the audio off. And sometimes I have misspoken, and I will literally miss a word, and I will just put that in brackets, like it's square brackets, just to indicate what I meant. Of playlists of comma playlists essentially of different sources. Yep, cool. It's essentially of different sources. So I can, and again, in the same way that we could do this, and again, I'm just going to put a comma in there because I think that makes more sense. I can, and again, in the same way that we could do this for the image slideshow, I can add individual files, or I can add an entire folder or directory. And as much as I shouldn't start a sentence on and, you know, we do that in informal English. And again, we've got the loop playlist option if we want to do that. Maybe we just want to play it once and move on. So we also have audio tracks. So again, if you've got multiple audio tracks in those videos, if you've got a video format that supports different audio tracks, you can certainly do that. Subtitles enable is interesting. I'm not really sure. You'd actually, again, you'd have to have... Oh, I kind of just trail off here. I'm going to put ... Sure. You'd actually, again, you'd have to have a video that had those embedded, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. You'd actually, again, you'd have to have a video that had those embedded, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. So if I click on that, you'll see that my video starts to play. But the wonderful thing about this is if you do have a lot of pre-recorded material, if you... that's fine, but I'm going to put a comma here. You know that you're going to have to stop your stream at some point and actually move on to other things, or... You know, maybe you need a bathroom break, or you need to grab some coffee because you're streaming for 8 hours at a time. You can have some videos that are ready to go, and you can play that. And then when you come back, you can just switch to your normal scene of you talking or whatever you happen to be doing. Okay, that's looking good. Yes, all right, let me just catch up with the comments. Roy says, yes, I have problems with my accent and transcriptions too. I must admit, DaVinci is surprisingly good. Like, I don't always have problems, but I do... I just see people press these magical AI buttons and don't actually check their work, and I think that's always a mistake. I think you really do need to listen and watch it. Hello, Business Growth Ready. So Business Growth Ready writes, so you're adding extra content in text format makes it the director's cut. Yes. And it's funny, the thing, and I think I noted this yesterday, but I kept referring to, if I go, this is such a side quest, but let's just do it really quickly. I will export this video later on. And the thing that I've been talking about all week is with the subtitle settings, we have three options. One is as a separate file, one is burnt into the video, and one is as embedded captions. And the interesting thing is if you embed the captions into the video and you use this VLC source, I think you can actually display those captions on the stream in OBS. So I haven't had a chance to try that yet, but it's funny because just these random threads sort of came together in a really interesting way yesterday. But all right, I think the captions looking pretty good. The last thing we will do, and again, this is something that might be new for Roy, but I know Business Growth Ready has been here for a lot of these streams. I'm going to go to the Fairlight page, which is just the audio section of DaVinci Resolve. I'm going to drag this out. I'm going to actually go Control Plus to zoom in a little bit. All I want to do, and in some ways, I think my audio settings, my compression is just a little bit too extreme. I probably need to revisit that as well in 2026. So what I do at this point is if there are any weird sounds, any weird breaths I want to take out, I just go through and again, most people would probably cut them out, but I turn the volume down. So let me show you what that looks like. The VLC source is very similar in a lot of ways. You do need to... So just after that, there's a little bit of a weird thing happening here. So I'm going to put a breakpoint in there, Control B. There's probably a button on my speed editor that will do this for me as well, but I haven't quite found it yet. I'm literally just going to drag this volume down. You do need to install the VLC media player on your... And I should say too, there are lots of different ways of doing things like this, and DaVinci Resolve does have a remove silence section option as well. I haven't really played with it, and it does get rid of the video as well, unless you tell it not to. But this is just how I've decided to work for the moment. And again, you don't need to be too... This is probably me being really pedantic, but it's just become part of my process now. Media player on your computer, and when you do that, you'll actually get an additional source. So this is the VLC video source. And this is where it gets sort of tricky because there's weird mouth sounds, but there's also clicking of the mouse, which I don't think is terrible in this context. But again, I think I'm just going to get rid of it. And the... original source. So this is the VLC video source. And the one thing that this gives you that the media source doesn't give you is the ability to create lists of playlists, essentially, of different sources. So I can, and again, in the same way that we could do this for the image slideshow, I can add individual files, or I can add an entire folder or directory. And again, we've got the... And there's definitely a breath there. Let's go back for a second. Zoom in. Oh. Zoom in. Individual files, or I can add an entire folder or directory. And this is a video cut as well, so I don't really need to tell it where it ends. I can just... I can add an entire folder or directory. And again, we've got the loop playlist option if we want to do that. Maybe we just want to play it once and move on. So we also have audio tracks. So again, if you've got multiple audio tracks in... So there's some clicking there. I think that's mouse clicking, so I think that's fine. In those videos... if you've got a video format that supports different audio tracks, you can certainly do that. There is a weird breath there. I'm gonna get rid of that one. And again, there is a philosophical discussion about how much to take out and how much to leave, because obviously human beings breathe. It's not really a big deal. You can certainly do that. Subtitles enable is interesting. I'm not really sure. You'd actually, again, you'd have to have a video that had those embedded, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. And there's definitely something there. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. So if I click on that, you'll see that my video starts to play. Video starts to play. But the wonderful thing about this is if you do have a lot of pre-recorded material, if you do know that you're going to have to stop your stream at some point and actually move on to other things, or you know, maybe you need a bathroom break, or you need to grab some coffee because you're streaming for 8 hours at a time, you can have some video. Okay, there's definitely something there. You can have some. Okay. What? Hours at a time. You can have some videos that are ready to go and you can play that, and then when you come back you can just switch to your normal scene of you talking or whatever you happen to be doing. Okay, I think that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. So I should almost quiz Business Growth Ready on what my next steps are, because I'm sure he'll know, but again, I won't do that. So let's talk about deliverables now. We want to export the video, but we also want to export some caption tracks. So I'm in the caption track here. If I right click on here, I can go to export subtitle. Again, I want to go back to my folders and I'm going to create a new one. So I'm doing this for each of these shorts. So this is number 14. My goal was to create 15 of these, so we're pretty much nearly done, which is amazing. And I might keep going because I kind of enjoy this process. I probably won't stream them all, but I do like making them. So here are the VLC VLC video source in OBS Studio. And I'm going to, again, I have my own file naming conventions. You do whatever makes sense for you. VLC video source in OBS Studio. The nice thing about this, incidentally, when we save the video, is that when you upload a video to YouTube, it will actually take the file name as your title. So you can just do a little bit of that can be a really good way of doing it. I do want to save this as an SRT file, but I actually want to save this as SRT without formatting. If you don't do this, it will potentially have some HTML tags inside of your SRT and file, and some platforms are fine with that. Some have a problem with that. I'm going to save that. I'm also going to do that again. I'm going to export my subtitle. I'm going to click on it to get the same file name, but I'm going to save this as a VTT file. The only reason I do this is because Blue Sky, the social media platform, likes VTT. So if I want to upload it there, that'll be good to go. All right, let's go to the little rocket ship, which is our deliver page. I'm going to... That's an interesting question. So Roy writes, does YouTube like it with HTML in the SRT? I kind of, when I bring in my SRT file, it actually showed the tags inside the text boxes. So I'm thinking it probably doesn't like them and it'll probably display them. But I haven't gone through the process to double check that. And the interesting thing is I have accidentally uploaded an SRT with the HTML inside of it onto LinkedIn, and it just bolded everything. It didn't really make a difference, but I think YouTube doesn't like them. But again, I haven't really checked that. That's maybe a job for another time. In fact, I will render this video and I might upload it as unlisted and just show you what potentially this looks like. So I just want to go to... First of all, because I'm working in subclips, it does remember what I've rendered previously. So it's remembered the 14th clip. I'm just going to get rid of that because I don't need to do it again. I'm going to browse to the folder I just created. And I'm going to click on one of my SRT files. I'm just going to change the extension to MP4 so that these are all the same. And we can potentially adjust our settings in here. I don't really need to. I think this is fine. The only one I do want to make sure is that the export subtitle is burn into video. So I do want those to appear on the video. I'm going to add to render queue. I'm going to go render all. And again, this is a relatively short video, so it's not going to take too long. And we are done. And again, one of my favorite features about this page is if I right click on my project, I can actually say open file location. It'll open this video. It'll show me that I've got my video, this folder rather. It'll show me I've got this video and my 2 SRT files. So what I'm going to do, let's actually go back to our edit page because I do want to test this theory that Roy has asked about. So I'm going to export the subtitle. I'm just going to say, we'll call this one SRT with formatting. All right, let me just bring up YouTube in one of these many windows I've got open here. All right, so again, just to illustrate some other things that I've mentioned in the last little while, we can just drag and drop our video on here. And you'll see it tries to bring in that title. Admittedly, I want to change how this looks. And I'm just going to say test only because I don't want to actually publish this just yet. But we're going to do that. It may take a little while for this to actually upload, but I'm going to go to my video elements. I'm going to go add subtitles. I'm going to go upload file and with timing. And I'm going to grab, again, make sure we're in the right folder, SRT with formatting. So you'll see here it's put these B bold tags around everything. I don't really know what this is going to look like, but I think we will just say done. And I'll wait until this is actually finished uploading. Hopefully we'll have enough time. And I just want to see what that looks like, because that's a really good question, Roy. I appreciate you taking the time to pose that one. No, it's fine. Like, Roy's sort of apologizing, but no, it's all good. The only thing is this video may take a little bit of time to upload, but I think it's worthwhile just showing this process as well, because uploading a video is not something everybody's done, and there are a lot of settings in here. I don't always remember to change these settings. The other thing too is if I go back to the details and go to show more, it does ask me what the language of my caption is in. So I need to actually change this in my defaults to say English Australian, but that's fine. Okay, so it's processing up to 3 minutes. Again, what I will do, I'm just going to make sure I mute YouTube. Again, you guys won't hear this on the stream anyway, but I just don't want to hear it myself. I'm going to click and watch my short. Okay, turn my captions on. It might still be processing. I can't actually see those just yet, so we'll give it a couple of more minutes. So it's checking. While this is doing its thing in the background, though, I will say, don't forget to like and subscribe. It's always a good thing to do. I am trying to reach 900 subscribers this month because it's my birthday and I want to celebrate with 900 subscribers. I don't know exactly how many I've got right now. I think it's 879. At least it was earlier in the stream. I actually spoke about this on another stream and I kind of lost a subscriber after that stream. So I don't know if I'm being too needy, but but it is what it is. All right, so it is it's still checking, and this is gonna take too much time while I'm doing it on live. But let's just go to the visibility. Actually, I haven't set the visibility. I'm gonna go unlisted. Maybe that will make a difference. All right, let's have a look. And now I'm actually in the proper Shorts experience, so captions are on, but they're not showing just yet. I'm not really sure, Roy. I think we might leave this here, but I will report back to you. I'll send you a message on one of the many platforms that we're connected on. And it's, you won't have heard that, but I said on the stream, and I also said in this video at the same time, which is downright surreal. So it'll be really interesting. And again, I suspect this might be a problem. I would sort of encourage you to avoid those tags. But again, we won't know for sure until YouTube finishes doing its thing. So captions, yeah. I'll turn them off and I'll turn them back on again. See if that makes a difference. Actually, it's saying UK too, which I thought I updated, but maybe I needed to update that before uploading the captions. But anyway, it's not really a big deal. All right. Unless, of course, the bold tag is literally stopping these captions from being shown, which again, unfortunately, I think is going to be a mystery for another day. I don't think we've got time to unpack that yet. If I feel like a lot of people sort of came for the second half of the stream, I do want to note too, in fact, I'm going to go over these really, really quickly. What my goals are for 2026 and some of the topics that I want to talk about for 2026. And again, if you have other suggestions, please let me know in the chat or the comments or send me a message. So the goals are to create more shorts from the live stream recordings, which again, I have a really good process for now. Create more standalone videos. Again, it's always been a bit of a weak spot for me. Live stream the shows regularly. And again, probably down to once or twice a week as of next week. Revisit the audio podcasts. So I do have a couple of audio podcasts. I like podcasts. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I don't always have fun making podcasts because I never really hear from listeners. And maybe that's because I just haven't promoted them enough. But again, I need to revisit that. And again, that goal, reach 900 subscribers in January and ideally 1,000 sometime during the year, because I really want to unlock a bunch of YouTube features that become available when we reach that point. So that's kind of my goals. And again, the topics, live streaming generally, podcasting and audio, OBS Studio specifically, DaVinci Resolve, YouTube, and just working out loud. So in the same way that I've been doing these live editing, the video editing streams live, I'd love to do a lot more of this in the future. So if you have other suggestions, please let me know in the chat or send me a message. But I think we'll leave it here for today. It is going to be 42 degrees Celsius here. So I need to turn off these lights and I need to turn on my noisy air conditioning unit so I can just chill out. I hope you're having a good time. I hope 2026 has been good for you so far. But take care and I'll talk to you again very, very soon.